What is up, everybody? Jason Burmis here. A little bit of a walk and talk. Haven't done one in a while. Got to get out of the house more. Tough without the dog, but we're doing it. So, what are we chatting about? We're chatting about the fact that it appears that quarantine round 2 and citizen roundups are now taking place in Beijing, China. And why am I bringing this up right now? Well, obviously those that want the lockdown to continue here, those that have promoted a second wave here, are going to immediately point to this fact. They are going to say, look, it's not even under control in China. Beijing had to round people up. We still have to limit the movement of American citizens. And there's a lot to think about here, okay? Number one, you have a media that's continually warning of a second wave that's going to be worse than the first. You have a governor in my state of New York that is still refusing to say whether or not he will reopen schools, and has been the main promoter that this Kawasaki disease-like illness within children was passed via the coronavirus, right? And what are we seeing on the outskirts of that not being reported that's out there? Number one, so far, they haven't been able to prove any asymptomatic transmission. That's interesting, because they acted like everybody who was asymptomatic could get old people sick, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Two, they are acting as though that this thing was more deadly than it was, and that there were not a multitude of treatments for those that got it, aside from a ventilator that would then kill you in 80 to 90% of those cases. Just today, they're starting to talk about one steroid treatment, but if you've been watching this channel, we were talking about steroid treatments from the very beginning. Now, I myself, I'm on my way out of New York. I've got to get out of this state. I would assume that any of you in any of these states that are still locked down even a little bit, or were locked down severely, would be thinking the same thing. And all I can say is this: we got to be ready to fight back twice as hard. Because as you guys know, I believe this thing to be real, but I believe it to be a released bioweapon. And not by a nation state, not an accidental leak from a lab, something that was genetically engineered and then released in various locations around the globe on behalf of a predator class. I know I'm not supposed to say that. I know that might be harmful content. But if that is in fact the case, it gives way to the fact, it lays bare to the fact that really there could be an outbreak of something like this, similar or worse, at any time, any place. And then there's the mirror image of that, where you could simply use the threat of such a thing and have no actual disease whatsoever, and still declare an emergency, a lockdown, a quarantine, more of these draconian rule sets. And no one's talking about the fact that New York is about to vote on mandatory vaccines for adults here. It was bad enough that he signed that executive order last year on children that had already gone through the exemption waiver for vaccines, and then said, no, that's not going to be good enough, right? No, you're going to have to do it. And then he was like, well, if you don't want to do it, you can always homeschool your children. And of course, people were like, well, I don't want to do that, or that's going to affect my work. But then months later, we have this, and you have to do it anyway. Almost ironic. So I got to tell you, not happy with the news of this large-scale roundup, lockdown, quarantine in Beijing. And the other thing is, it's impossible to prove whether or not this is due to an actual outbreak of the disease, an outbreak of something different, like I said, or just a move for more authoritarian control and to round up those that they may disagree with, that they may not share viewpoints with, that they might find threatening in some way, shape, or form. By the way, thumbs this video up, subscribe, and share if you're new to the Burmis Brigade. And the question will become, now that this second wave breaks out in China, will we see second waves in European nations? As we saw the break from China to Iran to Italy to the rest of Europe and then the United States? Or will you see draconian measures being pushed by the leadership of certain states in this country, all at the same time that they push that, you know, Black Lives Matter protests somehow won't give you the coronavirus, but if you were going to go to a Trump rally, it's the perfect storm to spread COVID-19. And you think that that would be bizarro, that that's not science, that there's no media outlets that could ever get away with posting that stuff, but they are. Those are actual headlines that I'm reading. So, you know, obviously I'm going to have my eye on the China situation. If anybody has some of those Beijing videos that are now going around, please send them my way. We'll be looking to see what the government's official position is going to be. And I know that now there's controversy about Trump and his latest speech talking about an AIDS vaccine and then mumbling and stumbling. Hey, he's 72 years old. He ain't perfect. And by the way, even when he is sharp as a tack, he ain't perfect. But again, I find it so odd that you pick apart that man's words, right? Oh, he told people to swallow bleach. No, he didn't. Never told anybody to swallow bleach. It's not even a thing. And in fact, when you talk about disinfectants, right? One of the things people did talk about, aka disinfectant in lungs, was the ozone or the oxygen treatments that have been out there for quite some time. But then other people said, well, you know what? Some people are also using UV lights to disinfect certain areas from viruses, and that's a very real thing. So much so that some iPhone app or it's like a little attachment for your iPhone or smartphone. Check it out. But it's 28 bucks, and basically it's just a UV window that sits over your flash, what you use for your flashlight on your phone. And they're claiming that, you know, putting this thing in there and putting on the light will somehow disinfect certain places from germs, etc., etc. Sounds like a lot of hype to me, but the basic science behind it is actually real. But for some reason, this country and the world, a large segment of it, a large portion of it, are just no longer interested in science at all. At all. It's really bizarre. It's something that for me is extremely hard to explain. So guys, I'm going to try to kick out at least one or two more videos for you tonight. May have an update on Assange. I'm not sure if I'm doing the free Assange visual with them this evening, or perhaps it's going to be Thursday. But as you guys know, the Action for Assange crew is very near and dear to my heart, because that's an issue I think that everybody should be getting behind. That's a free speech issue that no one seems to be talking about and affects every single one of us, yet is getting almost zero media attention in this country. And believe me, September and those trials are going to roll a lot quicker than you guys think, and the implications of extraditing a non-US citizen to this country and calling him a cyber terrorist for literally revealing the war crimes of others, yeah, that's a big problem. That is a big problem. So guys, if you want to support me, GoFundMe link is below. Once again, Beijing has started a secondary lockdown. They are quarantining people. They are rounding them up. And this is alarming, because the authoritarians around the world are going to jump on this once more and continue to try to take control. If you want to see me go throughout the country, show you where all the freedom supposedly is, give you on-the-ground reporting, and guys, by the way, we might actually hit a couple of these protests along the way as well. I'm mulling that over. Please hit the GoFundMe. We need it now more than ever, especially since we've been fully demonetized on this platform. And remember, there are a couple exclusive videos for free right now over at my other platform, rockfin.com, ROKFIN.com, including one on defamation and how one of my latest videos / interviews on Nicole Junkerman has now been banned in Spain due to defamation with no recourse and no explanation. And unfortunately, I've got to keep using this platform because it allows me to connect to the most people. So guys, thumbs the video up on the way out. I will see you soon, and I love y'all.